Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in another video today, and we're going to be talking about another Houston Texans rumor that some people have been talking about, and across a couple Houston stations the last couple of days since the Texans lost the first overall pick and received the second overall pick by the win over the Colts on Sunday. If whatever has happened with this win, really does hurt the Texans, and the Bears trade the pick for a team that is, looking for a quarterback, like if they traded to the Colts or the Panthers or someone else that is looking for a quarterback, and trade down, and that they select Bryce Young. So the Texans trade for someone, Justin Fields has talked about a little bit, which if that scenario would be if the Bears would select Bryce Young and trade Fields, which I don't think that happens. And so the quarterback that we're going to be talking about right now is Trey Lance, quarterback for the 49ers. I'm going to basically, get started off, saying Trey Lance will be traded this offseason if Brock Purdy has success in the playoffs. Let's just say the Seahawks, got the upset of the century on Saturday and beat the 49ers, and they lost in the first round. Then I could see them keeping Trey Lance and having a QB competition next season between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. No, I don't see that happening. I see the 49ers beating the Seahawks, beating the crap out of them, and moving on to the second round, then eventually maybe to the NFC Championship game, and then potentially a shot at the Super Bowl. If you make it to the Super Bowl, even if you lose or win, it's obvious Brock Purdy's your quarterback. Even though all the talent around him, he was able to take you to the Super Bowl. Quarterback is a hard position. It's one of the hardest positions in sports. So I think it would be a no-brainer who your quarterback would be, win or lose in the Super Bowl. I think if Purdy wins a playoff game, he's going to be the starter next year. I don't care. Unless he looks bad and they win, and he looks bad all through the playoffs, but Christian McCaffrey's doing good, their defense is doing good, so they keep winning in the playoffs. That's the only way. So I see Brock Purdy being the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers moving on into the future. But going into that fact, that means the 49ers most likely trade Trey Lance, right? I see, honestly, I don't. I think that there's going to be a lot of other teams that are interested. I think most likely candidate is either the Panthers or the Commanders, or maybe even the Jets, depending on if they are not able to land a different quarterback, which is just that possibility. Or you got possibly the Texans. And this just does not make sense to me. And I think Texans fans are kind of forgetting that if someone trades for the first overall pick, C.J. Stroud is still on the board, which does not make sense at all. So it's not like you have the third overall pick and you can't get either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Because if Bryce Young gets selected at 1 by whether it's the Bears or it's someone else like the Colts or the Panthers, if they trade for the pick, or someone else that we don't know about that's going to be unexpected, in that case, the Texans can still select C.J. Stroud, right? So, yeah, that makes sense for the Texans. You can still select C.J. Stroud. You don't have to give up whatever the asking price for Trey Lance is. You still get C.J. Stroud at your quarterback at 2. You don't have to give up 2 extra picks to land this Trey Lance quarterback who's only had, 4 starts, 4 or 5 starts in the NFL, which I know that's really good compared to C.J. Stroud. But Trey Lance having 5 starts, 4 or 5 starts in 3 seasons, or 2 seasons, is not good. And an injury concern is even worse. So in that case, I think that Texans fans are kind of forgetting, the people that saying, it's trade for Fields or Lance. If someone trades for the pick, you still got Stroud at 2. And to be honest, if someone were to trade for the first overall pick, I would actually not be that upset, because I know that if you got the second overall pick, you still got C.J. Stroud. Now, my concern is Before that, I wanted the Bears to. I actually wanted the Texans to land the second overall pick. I know that sounds crazy. I wanted the Texans to land that second overall pick because I wanted the Bears to land the first overall pick so they could get Will Anderson and we wouldn't, which sounds a little stupid. But I was afraid if the Texans got the first overall pick, they would select Will Anderson and not Bryce Young, because the Texans have kind of avoided the fact of drafting a quarterback. If we'll be honest, they couldn't draft the quarterback last year at the 3 with Derek Stingley because just of the fact how Kenny Pickett wasn't worth it at number 3. And that's why he was not drafted until like the 21st or 18th pick whenever he was drafted. So I think that makes sense. But I was just a little nervous, thinking maybe the Texans don't draft a QB and they like Will Anderson because their defense is improving. But I think what the Texans need is a QB right now. So in that case, I think that if the Bears trade the pick, which I don't think they do, I think they're just shopping it right now, and I don't know. I think they could. I think it could 100% happen, but I don't think it does. And so in that case, I think that the Texans end up getting Bryce Young. But if it does happen, then you have C.J. Stroud. So there's no point of trading for Trey Lance. Why would I take on a guy in Trey Lance for 2 picks when I can get C.J. Stroud? And Trey Lance has had a season-ending injury last year. And to be even fair, no offense to Lance, but he didn't even look that good in his first 2 starts before he got injured earlier in the season, in the first 2 weeks. So I'm just thinking that I'd rather have C.J. Stroud than Trey Lance. But unless, the Texans were to be the Texans, I would say, and with that second overall pick, if someone, drafts Bryce Young at 1, whoever that is, whether it's Chicago, whether it's the Colts, or whether it's the Panthers or someone else, and the Texans, let's say the Texans think to themselves, because sometimes they just can be dumb, they think, oh, well, our defense is improving, so let's draft Will Anderson at 2. So in that case, you've lost out on C.J. Stroud. You've lost out on Bryce Young. At that point, I trade for a quarterback, and Trey Lance would be one of the number 1 options on that list. So that's really it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts. I don't think the Texans should trade for Trey Lance at all. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it will happen. You guys let me know what you guys think. That's really it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.